Just when I thought I was out, they pull me back in.
Yeah, I know I said I wouldn't be covering any further Slenderman analog horror series after I finished covering Dark Harvest 00 back in March 2023, but blog post series are an analog horror, right? A few months ago, YouTube documentarian Alex Hara put out a 3-part docu-series on the lore of the magical STD. Within one of the episodes, there was a section specifically dedicated to different blog post stories that were created alongside the analog horror boom. And because I absolutely hate myself, I've decided to cover each of the main blogs that were mentioned in the docu-series. The first we will cover was chosen by my lovely community, Observe and Terminate. A quick synopsis of the series is as follows. The Paranormal Termination Consortium, a secret organization that suppresses and protects against paranormal threats on all levels around the world. Observe and Terminate focuses on the Slenderman division of the organization and its efforts to research and destroy the creature. What makes the series truly unique is that it creates a multiverse of sorts out of the existing Slenderman content. The series took place between October 2010 and October 2011 and technically consists of 2 different blog pages. Since this is an intricate blog series, I'm splitting my coverage of it into 2 videos. For now, let's start at the beginning with Situation, posted October 26th, 2010.
I need to know what the situation is. I've been out of the loop for too long. Cypher Squad has not responded since my disappearance, and I've gone out of my way to contact the blogs relating to this creature. There has to be a way to take it down. The target hasn't been eliminated yet, which leads me to believe that it may very well be indestructible, but the fact remains that good people are dying. A single option is slowly becoming clear. If this creature exists solely because of human belief, then maybe removing that little factor will remove the creature. I'm not proposing propaganda. Bazrael Squad, if you're reading this, you know what I mean.
Our narrator seems to be cut off from their contacts, desperately trying to get a hold of 3 named squads: Bazrael, Cypher, and Hunter. The very first mention of Slendy comes in the October 28th, 2010 post named Dead.
Well, I've discovered what happened to Cypher Squad in the time since my last post. The creature butchered them. I refuse to call it by its given name, due to the Tubal effect and numerous other personal reasons, not the least being that I don't think it deserves the word man in its title. Calling the creature by its name is taboo in my organization. I managed to get the police down here to properly investigate the matter, but I know it won't do any good. This thing is indestructible when attacked head-on. The Everman hybrid showed us that. Best of luck to those poor bastards. They'll need it. I, on the other hand, have other matters to attend to. Cypher Squad is gone, meaning I've lost a potential kill squad. This is just what I need. Bazrael Squad, Hunter Squad, if you're reading this, please check in immediately.
So the Tulpa effect is partially to blame for our faceless monster popping up everywhere. If you're not already aware, Tulpas are supernatural beings given form through the intense thoughts of people. Basically, you thinky too muchy about Slendy and he pop up and go boo. This also has ties to another Slenderman analog horror series run by a channel bearing the same name, which I eventually want to cover on live streams at some point. Our narrator then makes the quick decision to uproot and leave after spotting Slendy behind a tree the very next day. He thinks he's super spooky, guys. Aboo. Though we hear the cops are getting involved, our narrator states that he has absolutely no faith in that going anywhere and that they've made it to the safe house by October 31st.
Nightcrawler here hurts. I was on my way to the safe house and got attacked by 2 indoctrinated with knives. One looked to be no older than 16. Had to kill them and keep moving, but one got a good cut on me with a knife. Cops are all over the place now. Never let it be said that military training isn't useful in situations like this. In the safe house now and it's secure. I know that thing won't be after me personally anytime soon. I've got sufficient countermeasures in place to keep it away for at least a month. The indoctrinated may attempt to break in, and since it's just a house we've kept aside, won't go disclosing the location here in case federal agents are observing the vlog. We all saw what happened to Mr. Strom. The indoctrinated stand a good chance at doing so, but between the countermeasures and its already expansive target list, it'll be too busy to come after me. For now, I'm safe, which means I can begin laying the groundwork for the next phase of my operation. Bazrael and Hunter squads are out of the picture, either dead or cut off from me. Either way, I'm on my own. I'm so glad that the basement has a small armory stashed away here.
So we call our narrator Nightcrawler, eh?
No, mein Freund. Nein.
No, not that one. By the beginning of November, Nightcrawler is officially reaching out to others through the blog for help dealing with Slenderman. He calls the people he's reaching out to runners, presumably because they have seen Slendy and are running from him.
Well, it seems like I'll be here a while. The armory is well stocked, so any more indoctrinated that come my way, I can deal with. Internet connection is stable, landline and cell phone all work fine. I'm well stocked and set up. I'll probably be updating frequently, contrary to my original suspicion, if only to give myself something to do. It has come to my belief that, due to simple lack of assistance, I have no other option than to coordinate my efforts with the runners, if I'm to make any meaningful contribution to dealing with the creature that we've made a mutual friend. I'm better at being mission control than anything, but I am good at fighting. That won't do me any good in facing off against the creature itself, so anyone observing this vlog, don't get any ideas. We all saw what happened to Evan when he rushed it with a baseball bat. Gutsy, but useless. But runners, I'm going to tell you now in no uncertain terms, I am not your friend. I'm coordinating my efforts with you due to a simple lack of assistance and resources. At any rate, I'm officially going to begin answering questions. What questions I can answer will be answered. The questions I cannot answer will be ignored. General responses will also be looked at and responded to if possible. On that note, we have a few commenters. Suspended Serenity. The creature has actually been tracking us for some time. It's what led to the creation of my organization. The Indoctrinated, or Husks as you call them, have actually been deployed against us in this capacity before. It knows we're after it, and we have been for a while. We could be totally wrong about its weakness, and it is simply humoring us by sending disposable minions at us, but I think we actually have it scared on some level. This thing has to have some self-preservation instinct. The countermeasures are something one of the science geeks we have on payroll scratch built. Electromagnetic radiation. Basically, it's just a powerful magnet running 24/7. The geek had a theory about it using magnetism to see, and so far it seemed to be effective at keeping the creature away. It blinds it somehow, I think. I don't know all the technobabble behind it, but he thought it'd work, and so far it has. The creature eventually catches on and heads right for the blind spot. Normally this takes about a month if we keep it running non-stop. The downside is, it's not portable, and it's not exactly cheap to power it, and if the power in your house dies, you won't be far behind. This is why the safe houses are normally so secure. We normally keep a watch out for Indoctrinated trying to break in and shot the countermeasure, and so long as we move our new safe house right around the time the creature starts figuring things out, we're practically invulnerable. Leaving the boundary of the magnet just puts you in the thing's sights. Of course, you'll also need to shield your gear, computers, watches, alarm clock, etc. We've taken appropriate measures for that, and none of this is cheap either. So in other words, most of you won't be able to make it work out. Chase, again, I will be blunt. Do not mistake this for altruism. I need help. Without my kill squads, I can't exactly go running around the continent looking for a bunch of runners that don't know the first thing about the Tulpa effect. Any information you can give me is valuable, specifically locations. Any confirmed location of a runner is going to be extremely valuable to me.
This is also the start of our narrator naming recurring commenters on these posts to trace back to other outside blogs, the first two being Suspended Serenity and Chase. We soon find out that Nightcrawler is planning to intercept and eliminate any runners he comes across to stop the Tulpa effect, which would presumably weaken Slendy temporarily. The first unfortunate runner is found and eliminated on November 4th, 2010. In doing so, and because he posted it on the blog, Nightcrawler is attacked the very next night by an unknown individual. By November 9th, this is pretty much confirmed, and we're sure that our mystery attacker intended to get Nightcrawler's attention.
I searched around the location where the attacker fired his weapon. Venturing beyond the radius of the blinder device was a risk with the creature and any potential Indoctrinated possibly in the area, but I encountered nothing of importance until I reached the site where the shooter attacked me. I found something, a strip of paper with the word Lusk written on it. They obviously left it there for me. Whoever did this wants me to come after them. To any of you observers, I'm aware you find my recent actions distasteful, but this is potentially related to the creature. If it is not, it still warrants investigation. I will halt my operation for the sake of looking into this. I may require assistance. So to the point, Lusk. What is it? A person? A thing? Some other creature? Any information can be helpful. Nightcrawler, out.
Nightcrawler decides it best to check out the two US towns named Lusk in Tennessee and Wyoming, also noting that Bazarel Squad has made contact. On November 11th, the blog is taken over by a Bazarel Squad member by the name of Bazarel 2. He's quite the character to say the least.
お前はもう死んでいる。何?
No, not Basil Goose. November 15th rolls around and we start to get some insight into why exactly Nightcrawler concluded that runners need to be eliminated.
Bazarel 2 here. Greenlight and Zero Ember have been attempting to reach Nightcrawler, and I'm sorry to tell you, the big guy is still looking around Lusk, Tennessee, assuming something didn't happen to him at least. Hunter Squad still hasn't checked in, so they're still MIA. On that note, you people have no idea who you're dealing with. Nightcrawler isn't about to change his mind unless you have confirmation that your methods will work. We've attacked the creature directly before, lost an entire squad doing it. We've had to resort to killing Indoctrinated and runners because they're the ones feeding him. Is there any guarantee your own plans will work? If the Tulpa effect is actually working here, then killing the people who actually believe it exists will work in getting rid of it, right? Makes sense. If there's another way, I want that guarantee. I want you to give me the full, detailed explanation of why it would work. Nobody in our chain of command will settle for anything less. Before we started killing runners, we were focusing on getting the runners to safety, convincing them to join us, training them to fight, and right after we got what we thought were enough of them, we tried to take this thing down, and that didn't work. There's a way to kill the creature, and I'm not convinced you know what it is. I'm looking through the blogs, and it's not making sense to me anymore. Start making sense. We're about at the halfway point for the blinder to stop working. A little while longer and that thing will be all over us. We're gearing up to head out in approximately 2 weeks. Also, we've received word from Spectre. He's basically Nightcrawler's boss, and by extension, our boss. Went to ground himself about 6 months ago. Nightcrawler, if you're reading this out in Lusk, he ain't happy. Bears Royal 2.
I guess it's good to know who Spectre is now. No, not that one. We get a science fiction double feature on November 16th because Spectre decides to verbally spank the crap out of Bears Royal 2 when called Nightcrawler back. Yes, Bears Royal 2, I hacked your precious little blog, Cry Me a River. Nightcrawler, you're officially becoming a damn nuisance. No, we will not allocate additional personnel. No, we will not allocate additional funds. No, we will not allocate additional equipment. No, we will not interfere with your operation since this is entirely your call. But damn it, do not go thinking you're the only one saving the world. You are a low priority division. How many times do I need to drill that into your head? We've got other problems to deal with. Your little Slenderman unit isn't going to be getting additional support because we've got other problems. Stop trying to act like the goddamn messiah. You're an ex-Marine assigned to the Slenderman division of our organization because we need someone with combat training and squad command experience on the job. Let's recap. You have completely lost track of most of your combat units or outright gotten them killed. You've been actively recruiting without permission from a collection of victims of the creature you are fighting. Your science teams are gone. You have no business leading this unit, and by making this blog in some desperate attempt to rally your remaining teams, a wholly inefficient method I might add, you have damaged our organization's secrecy, something we desperately need intact to function, and possibly brought the whole damn federal government down on our heads. And Bazarel Squad isn't helping matters. You know I sympathize with you, but I sympathize with the guys we had working that one incident with the TV hijacking in Wyoming 3 years ago. We eventually had to hack the site in something awful inconspicuously and pass it off as a failed ARG attempt internet prank. I'm not doing that again. Too many people would notice, and we're not even sure if your Tuple effect theory actually works. You are killing people with no concrete reason to do so. This is the kind of attention we do not want. Coordinate with victims, but do not engage. And no more recruiting. Stay the fuck away from Lusk, Wyoming, by the way. Get back on task as soon as you read this and stop bothering me. Spectre. P.S. Bazarel 2, for crap's sake, do not go for the Mr. House ending. It's depressing as all hell. I'm not going to read all of Basil's response, but I will note one paragraph that piqued my interest. Nightcrawler is understandably upset. Just got a phone call from him this morning. He's pulling out of Lusk as per his orders and heading back now. Things are mostly quiet on our end, but the fact that Nightcrawler was attacked is still a concern, especially for the higher-ups. First time a human has organized an attack on any of our field commanders without a seeming supernatural influence. B2. It's another 3 days before we hear from anyone again, and the news we do get when they check in isn't good. Things have been a little hectic here. I was going to update on the 17th, but some stuff came up. Here's a bullet point list to explain what's happened so far. 4 indoctrinated with clubs and knives tried to break in the other night. Managed to kill them all, buried the bodies in shallow graves out back. We're not exactly in the suburbs here, so nobody should find them easily. A member of my team was injured. B5 is resting up after a medic shot him up with morphine and made sure everything was alright. He'll be back on his feet in a matter of days. Beat Fallout New Vegas. Got the NCR ending. Fuck yeah, NCR. Also, Nightcrawler's been telling me not to update until last night. Spectre's orders, apparently. Nightcrawler's at his wit's end. The indoctrinated have been sent against us like this before, but usually we deal with the individuals trying to capture a member of our little group that's been separated from the rest of us, or trying to kill off a runner before we could get to them. A group of 4 is the largest we've dealt with at any one time in at least 6 months. Also, we spotted someone poking around at a distance with a rifle. Red jacket, mohawk, about 6 feet, had a set of binoculars, ran off after a while. Not indoctrinated at all. Hunter Squad still hasn't reported in, and the blinder's effectiveness will wear off in another week or so. We're mostly packed ahead of schedule, and everyone's back on alert after the attack 2 nights ago. As for Lusk, well, Nightcrawler's not talking. After the Wyoming incident, I could see why Spectre would order him back. Took us ages to keep the whole thing under control 3 years ago. Had to kidnap a bunch of people, put hackers at work for days, impersonate a large group of people at once online, and a few haven't been taken off the undercover job quite yet. It's tied down some resources indefinitely. Nightcrawler poking around Lusk, Wyoming wouldn't have been good. But that's all in the past. We passed it off as a failed ARG and it worked out for the most part. Anyways, Mohawk guy hasn't been spotted a second time, but we're keeping our eyes open. A camera network's been laid out, multiple overlapping fields of view with a real-time feed can't be avoided if he comes poking around again. B2. Spectre pops in again to layeth the smacketh down on our protagonists, basically telling them to either trust Nightcrawler and figure shit out themselves or die. By November 20th, Bazarel 2 tells us that Slendy has popped up at their camp and things continue to escalate over the next few days, with indoctrinated found inside their camp and the faceless Wonder driving the team out. Nightcrawler returns to help Bazerol Squad escape November 23rd.
Nightcrawler here. Bazerol Squad is keeping their distance from the target. We've blocked all doors and everyone is keeping him in their fields of vision to ensure he can't pull anything. He's blocking our way to the cars. We've yet to open fire, no sign of agents or indoctrinated. We'll make a run for the cars as soon as possible. I'm heading down to the basement now to grab any heavy weapons I can. Heavy machine guns, RPGs, anything. Keep this in mind, I don't like you people. You've been running from or fighting this thing for too long. None of you are trustworthy. And that makes it worse for me because I can't count on anyone else. Going for the weapons now. Bazerol's watching, he's standing still, like he's taunting us.
Nightcrawler and Bazerol 2 go quiet after November 24th, and Spectre takes over for the remainder of November and into the first weeks of December. This is also when we find out that this is now officially a cat and mouse game between our protagonists and whatever private entity they used to work for. Nightcrawler, your actions on the night of Thanksgiving have officially gone over the line. You're being tracked now. You knew this would happen if you continue to disobey orders. Personnel shortages be damned. I will not have you doing this anymore. You have consistently proven to be an inept commander, and now, in light of you and Bazerol Squad actively going rogue and disobeying orders, I have no other option. 3 kill teams are after you now. You should be honored I'm bothering with any more than 1. You've gone from a minor nuisance for me to an actual threat to the organization as a whole. You are directly acting against my orders, and I will not have it. I want this to be known to you, Nightcrawler. You cannot run, you cannot hide, you cannot dodge those who have eyes and ears everywhere. I've given them the order to take you alive. I want you to answer for this. Bazerol Squad's lives are forfeit. Spectre. November 29th, we actually get some answers about what the ever-loving fuck is going on. Some of you have asked about what Nightcrawler's done, so I'll tell you. On the night of Thanksgiving, they were approached by what we suspected to be a trio of runners who wanted a ride. They shot and killed them when they realized who they were dealing with and just left the bodies by the side of the road. There were specific mentions of the Slenderman by one of the new passengers, whom we believed to have been in the process of being indoctrinated, or hollowed, or whatever it is you people call it. We know this because we've bugged every car and military vehicle our organization uses for the sake of keeping tabs on officers, soldiers, and their intentions. He's deliberately gone against orders, and I will not tolerate him going against them. Spectre initially deploys kill teams to Lusk, Wyoming, December 1st, but pulls them out due to the creature near Lusk. It's also implied that either the audience or some inside source has been helping Nightcrawler. 2 days later, we're told that Spectre's first major attempt to kill Nightcrawler has gone horribly wrong. Well, we found them, and the result wasn't pretty. 2 teams killed before they realized what was going on. 3rd team managed to call for air support before Nightcrawler and Bazerol Squad picked them off. Then Nightcrawler and his damn goons shot down the gunship. We've already run information suppression, cleanup, and damage control. Situation will look like it never happened. I need to rethink my strategy here. Nightcrawler's not as inept as his after-action reports from fighting the Slenderman thing have led me to believe. Spectre.
I have to say, Spectre, the gunship was an unpleasant surprise. Oh, and lose a toupee. Really. Nightcrawler.
Another slew of kill teams are confirmed to be wiped out on December 9th, and by December 10th, Spectre hands everything Nightcrawler related over to the government. Bazerol 2 finally pokes his head out December 12th and briefs us on the shenanigans December 13th. B2 here. We think we finally managed to implement some decent anti-hacking procedures around this particular vlog. If Spectre takes a shot at hacking us again, we should be in the clear. Now, a few things we need to check here. For one, we've never engaged any of Spectre's other teams. No gunship was ever shot down. We never even had any idea Spectre was after us. We never broke orders. This is a complete and total lie to somehow hinder us, or Spectre really is losing it. We've got a crazy plan in mind to figure things out, but we'll be back in position by the solstice. Guarantee it. No, we won't tell you the crazy plan because Spectre's obviously watching the blog. All we'll say is, since Spectre's probably bugged our cars, we're going to have to commit at least 2 acts of Grand Theft Auto to make this happen. Also, Empty Eyes, whoever saved you wasn't us. We've been holed up and keeping watch for the last couple of weeks. We've never headed your way at all. We've never even known exactly where you are. Also, beat New Vegas again. Took the wildcard ending this time. Yes Man puts out a Skynet vibe. Compared to the Mr. House and Caesar's Legion endings, I'd say all 3 equally suck. NCR probably sucks too overall, but at least it's not LOL's Reap and Pillage or LOL's Tax or Die for Irwin like the Legion and House endings. And I've already covered the little Skynet who could. So go NCR. Woot. Bazerol Squad is attacked by an unknown, heavily kitted out squad of individuals December 14th, and we get a cute little reference to another wonderful ARG. Easy mistake. SCP's a bunch of posers though. Just kidding, they're not real. If they were real, we'd all be fucked. B2. Slendy arrives in their hideout December 15th, and we get a more detailed breakdown of events on the 16th. Good news, bad news moment, people. Good news, we hit him. We actually got the bastard. He sort of disappeared after we hit him, but there was no flash. No big, dramatic explosion, nothing. It was really sort of anticlimactic, but we got confirmation we hit him. Laser bursts from these weapons make a cracking noise on firing, and then when the burst impacts, there's an explosion of sparks like you would see in a bad B-rated sci-fi movie. Bad news. The weapon impacted on his torso and he disappeared immediately afterwards, seemingly on his own initiative. I don't think it did any serious damage on its own. This is the Slenderman we're talking about. It had to be a deterrent, not an injury. Also, we have no fucking idea where he is now. This is what we call bad news because you know what he can do when he's not in your line of sight. So, you call it what you want, but this is dangerous for us because we know he's still around. The entire squad is to remain confined to the apartment, and it's not so much as to leave a room without taking 2 other men and having a clear view of everything around them. Yes, we're a little paranoid. We'll update if situation changes. The landlord inquired about all the broken glass from the other night. Problem officially solved itself when he spontaneously decided to keep quiet after Nightcrawler and Bazwell 1 threatened him with imminent death if he didn't shut up. It's good to see the people we protect have a sense of self-preservation. B2. The group is up and out once again December 17th, and apparently Bazwell's squad and Nightcrawler have the balls to quite literally capture Spectre. And the twists continue. After a very short interrogation, we get this gem in the second post of December 20th. Okay, so Spectre's cracked under the pressure of the interrogation. He's telling the truth, so say our interrogation experts. He's not guilty of anything. Someone else has been hacking our blog, and our little break-in at Central Command and subsequent shootout with the guards may or may not have actually terminated our employment with our organization, and resulted in the higher-ups ordering a few kill teams after us as punishment and retaliation against rogue operatives. Whoopsie-daisy, B2. Everyone besides the real Spectre packs up and heads out for Indiana by the end of the day. December 21st, we get 3 more posts. Post 1 tells us that they almost got into an accident. In Post 2, we learn that Bazwell's squad has been forgiven after meeting some requirements. Part 3 tells us that there is a meeting with another contact from the blog comments named Zero at an undisclosed location. December 22nd brings us our first after-action report, and it's fascinating to look into how missions are supposed to be run. December 21st, 2010, winter solstice. Time, approximately 2200 hours local time. Location, near Indianapolis. Exact location withheld for security purposes. Primary target, a creature dubbed the Slenderman, was designated target alpha for the purposes of this operation. Bazwell squad, led by squad leader Nightcrawler, rendezvoused with a small group of regulars, the apparent leader of which was designated Zero. The original plan was for Regular Zero to serve as some kind of bait for target alpha, luring the target into a predetermined ambush zone in which the irregulars were to engage target alpha directly. Bazwell's squad was primarily there for the purposes of neutralizing indoctrinated forces that may have arrived to hinder the operation, while the irregulars moved in to engage target alpha. By approximately 22:15, Bazwell's squad had taken up positions near and around the intended ambush site. At 22:20, a squad of indoctrinated, numbering 6, entered clear view, armed with a combination of different weapons such as baseball bats and large sticks, kitchen knives, and switchblades. The squad of indoctrinated were designated target Beta 1 through Beta 6, and the irregulars held back while the indoctrinated approached, to give Bazwell's squad time to line up clear shots. Squad commander Nightcrawler gave the order for weapons free at 22:21, and targets Beta 1 through Beta 6 were terminated without any return fire. Additional hostiles approached from the nearby woods 2 minutes later, numbering approximately 20 indoctrinated, with target Alpha close behind them. Squad Commander Nightcrawler gave the clearance for weapons free upon visual contact with target Alpha. The primary objective was to terminate or dispose any and all indoctrinated supporting target Alpha. Indoctrinated forces suffered heavy losses in the resulting engagement, with Bazwell's squad suffering 0 casualties. Dead indoctrinated from the second force totaled out to approximately 18, although exact numbers are impossible to ascertain, as there are more than a few dismembered limbs as a result of the incoming fire on their positions. Enemy stragglers were forced into a retreat into the nearby woods and as of yet have not been re-engaged. During the engagement with the indoctrinated, Bazwell squad knowingly and willingly permitted the Irregular Zero to engage Target Alpha. Target Alpha effortlessly neutralized Irregular Zero and proceeded forward to engage another unidentified Irregular. The Irregular stabbed Target Alpha with an unidentified weapon, likely some kind of pocket knife or switchblade due to the size, and all present combatants were
Information redacted by order of PTC Central Command, Class 2 Paranormal Phenomenon.
Shortly after the effects passed, it had been noted by Bazwell 2 that a fog had settled in over the area. This was quickly confirmed by the rest of the squad and by some of the irregulars. Bazwell's squad then organized a withdrawal and extraction plan for all irregulars present and disengaged from the area. Irregular Zero and the unidentified irregular were not discovered in post-engagement recon, but several bodies were identified, including an enemy operative that had made an attempt on squad commander Nightcrawler's life some time ago. Target Alpha has not been sighted since the engagement, indicating that the subject may have been neutralized. Recommend observation of the area for confirmation of the primary target status and transfer of Bazrael squad to a different division in the wake of this operation's success. Also recommend shutdown of the Slenderman division, as the subject is either impossible to terminate permanently or is effectively neutralized. End report. Unfortunately, we find out by December 27th that this mission did not work and Basil 2 is stuck playing sniper all by his lonesome, or at least with significantly cut numbers. The year ends on New Year's Eve of 2010 with Basil 2 telling us that runners are being hunted once again, but Nightcrawler, who's been promoted, isn't explaining why. Everything goes silent again until January 17th, 2011 when we are hit with yet another twist.
Ignore this post. It was done by B2 prior to his recent disappearance. Hasn't been himself lately, but we've ruled out indoctrination. All irregulars and runners be advised, B2 is likely hunting you down and is armed and extremely dangerous. Avoid him at all costs until we can apprehend him. Nightcrawler.
This is elaborated upon by Spectre in 2 posts on January 23rd, with the first further explaining Nightcrawler's last post about Bazrael 2.
Spectre here, I'm here to clear some things up. Some of you are concerned the Slenderman division of the Paranormal Termination Consortium is out to get you. Short answer, no. Long answer, no you fucking idiots, we're all on the same team here. Nonetheless, it is quite clear that Nightcrawler's unit requires additional oversight. He has managed to keep his clearly homicidal tendencies contained for now, no runners have died yet. As a matter of fact, they've simply been tracking them down and giving them a safe place to stay under heavy guard. They have engaged indoctrinated recently and killed at least one revenant. Our first encounter with one resulted in the death of a PTC soldier, so we know how to deal with them and avoid such incidents in the future. Now, as far as the incident with B2, the bastard is insane. Before his disappearance, he was spouting something about how he was lost on 2 paths. He's also taken his equipment, so if nothing else, we need to track him down and take it back. Normally, we have great mental health coverage for our soldiers, and for good reason, but B2 will most certainly not be getting any such treatment. He's beyond help. Best thing we can do is kill him for his own good. If you see anyone toting around a high-powered sniper rifle, wearing a gas mask, or wearing a military combat suit, please avoid him at all costs. Spectre.
The second post refers us to another blog that will directly be handled by Spectre, and the first post there is rather enlightening. Yes, I know it's in light mode, and even though it's very cringe, there's nothing I can really do about it, so we just gotta kinda deal with it as it is.
Well, those of you familiar with me or my work may not have the whole story. I figure Nightcrawler set up the account here, why not put it to more use than simply leaking classified intelligence to both our enemies and the people we are sworn to protect who inherently distrust us because of our secrecy. Yes, you paranoid bastards, I'm looking at you. My appropriate alias is Spectre. I work for the Paranormal Termination Consortium as an executive in the employ of one of the organizations responsible for funding the entire operation, which when I'm employed with, I'm not permitted to say, nor am I permitted to release my real name. But the PTC's existence has been leaked to a minor group of internet bloggers who are fascinated with something we've devoted lives and resources to trying to kill and contain. I figure, as long as knowledge of the PTC doesn't spread much further, we'll be able to continue working quietly, and pass it all off as a work of fiction. At any rate, here I will answer questions and post about my day. Heavens no, I have nothing better to do while overseeing Nightcrawler and making sure he stays under control.
A post giving us more insight into the PTC is uploaded on Spectre's blog, most of which isn't anything of much importance except for a small set of paragraphs towards the beginning.
For those of you not in the know, that is to say everyone reading this besides the guys at work, the way the PTC hierarchy and command structure works is that we have multiple divisions, each with an assigned budget, job, and 3 departments: science, military, and executive. Executive departments serve as a liaison between the science and military departments, fill out requisition orders for the science and military departments, and the highest ranking executives, of which I am one, serve as the liaison between the division and central command. Translation, paperwork, and lots of it. The military department is, of course, made up of soldiers like our dear friend Nightcrawler, with whom you are all too familiar. Their job is to actually fight and kill paranormal entities, or if possible, capture and contain them. Every military department is different in the precise organization and command structure, based on how many military department personnel Central Command has assigned to it. A division science department figures out how the military department is supposed to kill a certain type of creature we've come across. Science personnel assigned to this job tend to not be ordinary beaker slingers working with some outdated chemistry sets. These guys are the unsung heroes of the scientific community. They're mostly unsung because if they try to speak about their discoveries, we quietly make them disappear. Now, one thing you need to know, everybody in the PTC is in it for the money.
By the end of January, Spectre details a break-in that occurred on January 28th.
There was a break-in at Central Command 2 nights ago. Everything has the look of being done by someone who's memorized the layout of our base at Central Command, but didn't have a lot of technical knowledge. The science geeks noticed a lot of stuff on their computers was accessed, which means whoever was responsible wasn't exactly concerned with covering their tracks. Security camera footage was wiped for that entire evening all across the base though, so we have absolutely no idea who it actually was. Guards are well trained and know how to handle stuff like this, but they didn't spot anybody, which means the intruder had someone on the inside at Central Command to wipe the footage and avoid raising the alarm
normal and maintaining a solid body count of 0. They've already apprehended everyone involved on the night shift for interrogation. Apparently, all the files accessed on the computers had to do with paranormal activity relating to temporal manipulation and dimensional theory. In other words, time control and knowledge on alternate dimensions. This may not even be related to the situation with B2, but it'd add up with his recent disappearance, freakout, and knowledge of the base's layout. Plus, snipers are supposed to avoid detection, so his infiltration training would help. Still checking out multiple leads, so far nothing. But if it's B2, why would he go for information on time travel or alternate dimensions? Slenderman related? Most likely. Spectre. Things continue to get worse in February, where yet another guard in Central Command seems to lose their mind. Class 3 paranormal phenomenon was underway last night at Central Command. In other words, messed up shit that probably shouldn't be happening, but not as bad as some things that have happened before. That's Class 3 for you. On the night shift, one of the guards started flipping out, yelling at everyone about how it was not his home. He eventually barricaded himself in one of the offices and then shot himself. The freakout was similar, though obviously not the same, to what B2 went through shortly before his disappearance. We've classified this as a paranormal phenomenon because it's entirely possible the freakouts are paranormal in nature. One thing that is fairly different between B2 and the guard who shot himself was that the guard in question had always been stationed at Central Command. He never had any exposure to the Slenderman and had never been deployed against other paranormal creatures in the past. His entire career with the PTC had gone down at Central Command before his death. So whatever it is that's happening, it's not unique to the Slenderman division. This warrants further investigation. Nightcrawler has been ordered to keep watch of all of his men closely. Spectre. Bazrael 2 gets a hold of the blog and makes the first and most troubling entry of February 3rd.
They're bleeding. They're both bleeding. And he's responsible. B2.
The second post of February 3rd comes from Spectre and it details several things. Their computer systems were corrupted, Nightcrawler engaged and killed another Revenant at the cost of 4 squad members, mentions a Slenderman dedicated Twitter account called Dr. Zelfist, and tells us that Bazrael 2 has been tracked down to Lusk, Wyoming. Nightcrawler adds 2 more to his body count that very night, but something odd occurs. A time delay as soon as a target was shot. Nightcrawler posts on the same day and mentions that a target alpha is becoming more aggressive, and I can only assume that he's talking about Slendy. Another 2 posts are put up February 5th, one from Bazrael 2 and one from Spectre.
To the side of the solstice. The trees are all out of place. This is Zero's fault. It didn't work, but it did. This isn't right. Something is wrong about everything now. B2.
Indianapolis. He's there, or near there. Multiple teams dispatched. He's not getting away this time. Spectre. Spectre's post on February 6th tells us exactly how well the attempt to apprehend Bazrael 2 goes, and also a very troubling detail. Alright, so the teams in Indianapolis found B2. Didn't catch him, but they had a brief shootout, 2 men injured, nobody killed. He wasn't hit at all. The team still based in Lusk, Wyoming, awaiting transport to Indianapolis, also had contact with B2. 1 man injured critically. They were both B2, and both acts happened within 5 minutes of each other. Of course something's up. Tom, the conduit, has been picked up and transported to a classified location for testing and research. If everything works out, we'll have ourselves a few new clues as to how the Slenderman can move so quickly over long distances. Spectre. Things continue to get more baffling with 3 posts made on February 9th, 1 from Observe and Terminate and 2 on Spectre's blog. We learned from the 2 posts on Spectre's blog that Bazrael 2 is absolutely fucking with him and that Bazrael 2 also has access to this blog. The 3rd post on Observe and Terminate basically tells us that Nightcrawler is so intent on killing Bazrael 2 that he's willing to slaughter an entire neighborhood of innocent people. And just when you think you've got a handle on what exactly is going on, Bazrael 2 posts on Observe and Terminate on February 10th claiming that none of the posts since Thanksgiving were from him. My neck hurts from the whiplash and I've got a massive fucking headache from pure confusion here. The only thing that sort of makes any sense out of this is a singular comment from The Shadow. It's so easy to explain the recent happenings. Why has nobody realized it? The bleeding between reality as humanity knows it and the Slenderman's plane of existence, which was caused during the Solstice event in the world I visited before this one, has caused the time-space continuum to seriously mix itself up, e.g. entire dimensions and other timelines with different outcomes to what happened are mixing with our current reality. This of course means you can't be sure of who is who anymore, let alone what exactly happened. The worst part though is that all of which that was posted since the day before the solstice has actually happened, even the contradictional stuff. Good luck with figuring out what was supposed to have happened in your reality during the last few months. Damn it, I just realized that the bleeding I mentioned has also occurred within your reality. Just perfect. Now nobody, not even God, will be able to make sense of the events that were and still are happening till the bleeding stops and reality decides which events it wants to keep as its real history. The worst part for me is that all of my comments won't reach anyone earlier than 2 years after the actual events happened. I hate time delays caused by interdimensional bleedings. Ugh, being forced to watch something terrible like this and being unable to help is horrifying. Hopefully, people will at least read this and learn from it later on.
I
I can't do this right now. Look at the mess you just made.
Spectre tries to catch us up on what exactly has been going on, but it only brings more questions than answers. Not only that, but yet another Slenderblog enters the chat.
Okay, so despite B2's 2 consecutive posts here, we were never hacked. B2 somehow posting here despite us having changed the password and laid down anti-hacking countermeasures that were later improved. B2 is not with Bazroll Squad as of this moment, as Bazroll Squad is currently in our barracks. As a matter of fact, Bazroll Squad just finished with a mission debriefing not 20 minutes ago. A gunship wasn't ever even deployed before Bazroll Squad kidnapped me. Or after, as a matter of fact. The authority to order the deployment of such assets usually rests with PTC Central Command, so I can't go, shoot 'em dudes, and wave a hand and have an entire city block totally annihilated. We have several on hand here at the Slenderman division, but only recently after a reconstruction. We need to be sparing with them and be careful to make sure they're not spotted whenever they're deployed. The PTC is living in the age of cell phone cameras. Fuck-ups are not tolerated. We're not being hacked, and all of the information coming from B2 is disjointed, conflicting, and we have the same guy saying, I didn't do anything, but I'm totally with guys that have been with me since Thanksgiving last year and haven't left my site, even though my old boss, whom I'm stalking, says they're totally back at their main base of operations and not with me, and claiming, the walls are breaking, oh no, it's the walls. No reports I have indicate that Nightcrawler even killed anyone on Thanksgiving. I certainly didn't post this. In other words, my response to B2's recent actions can be summed up as such. What the fuck? Needless to say, we're getting to the bottom of this, you know, eventually. On to other things. Tom the Conduit has been more than helpful with recent tests and has claimed to like our food. Don't ask me, I have no idea why he likes the marshmallow surprise in the cafeteria. So far, so good. We might have some basic information on how the Slenderman moves quickly over long distances, and with this information, we may be able to contain him somehow. On the subject of the blinders, we're dealing with a serious black box scenario here. The science team can't honestly figure out how the last guy to build one got it to work. Nightcrawler described it as a powerful magnet running 24/7, but that's not really accurate. We've tried that. We haven't been able to figure out shit about how these things actually work. No plans, no prototype, no backup indeed. And finally, onto the recent events surrounding Red Light and Reach. Good show, Robert. Good show. If anyone seriously wants us to get rid of Red Light, say the word. Honestly, he seems to be a bit of an annoyance to you regulars. We're willing to help out on that front. And Red Light, if you're reading this, take warning. Nightcrawler's men have killed Revenants before. Any bodyguards you have with you will not protect you. Even before this, you were considered a target by PTC personnel for your affiliation with our primary target.
On February 13th, Spectre notifies us that a fire squad has been sent out on a mission, but we don't know exactly what mission until the next day's after action report is posted. Date, February 14th, 2011. Time, 2:05 to 2:43 hours local time. Location, Ireland. Exact location withheld for security purposes. Mission objective was to apprehend or terminate known Slenderman supporter, proxy, likely indoctrinated, Red Light. Task force assigned to Operation Firestarter consisted of Command Squad, Baz Royal, as well as Night Stalker Squad and Demolisher Squad. Air support was provided by PTC gunships Archangel, Firewing, and Fat Boy. Operative squads were aboard gunships until op time 2:15, at which point LZ Sigma was approached. LZ was clear with no witnesses and no sign of hostile contact. The gunships took off and circled the area from a high altitude to maintain a solid view of the surrounding perimeter and to keep ground teams informed of the situation. Gunships were issued strict orders not to engage unless ground teams were going to lose the target or were taking losses. Ground teams advanced to GPS coordinates redacted. PT specialists had discovered Red Light had posted on the blogs noted as belonging to the ex-Revenant irregular Reach, from GPS coordinates redacted. Upon arrival, there was a small uninhabited shed and a working laptop computer, seemingly of a customized design. The laptop was taken and held by B3 for further analysis. As of 2:23, there was no sign of the target. Hostile contacts were engaged at 2:24. Below was a radio transcript from the time the engagement began to the extraction of ground teams by PTC gunships. An audio clip would have been attached to this after-action report, but voices are to be withheld for security purposes. B4. Alright, looks clear. Red Light's probably long gone and left in a hurry. There's his computer. Someone grab that. We can use it. Aw shit, Revenant. Static renders radio channel undecipherable from this point forward. Night Stalker 4 confirmed KIA and post-engagement recon. Gunship Archangel. Ground teams, be advised. We have Revenant contact approaching your position. It's only one. Over. Requesting clearance for weapons free. Nightcrawler. Weapons free. Take him out. Gunship Firewing. Roger that. Roger that. Guns. 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 Gunship Archangel. Solid lock. I repeat, solid lock. Dropping the hammer. At this time, Gunship Firewing and Archangel engaged the Revenant contact with 40mm fragmentation rounds and followed the opening barrage with a series of high-caliber railgun rounds. Nightcrawler, confirmed kill, Revenant down. B3, didn't that shithead say that he had a lot of Revenants with him in the blog post? Night Stalker 3, yeah, he did. Fuck, eyes open, people, there's gotta be more. Gunship Fat Boy, cut the chatter, eyes open. Red light still in the area if there's Revenants. Nightcrawler, Gunship Archangel, ascend and mark ground teams on thermal imaging. Look for anybody not showing up on PTC IFF. If anything shows up and it's not a Revenant, it has to be a red light. Gunship Archangel, Roger Nightcrawler, stand by. Break for approximately 3 minutes. Gunship Archangel, Nightcrawler, we have him on thermal, 2 clicks east and making a run for it. He may not realize we're still after him. Shit. Charlie Foxtrot, Charlie Foxtrot. Red light is engaging a civilian vehicle on the road east of here, attacking the driver, trying to hijack the car. Nightcrawler, road? There wasn't anything in the briefing about a road. Gunship Archangel, it was outside the speculated operations area. Intel must not have thought he'd get that far before we caught up. 2 clicks is one hell of a distance to cover on foot. Nightcrawler, shoot the car. Gunship Archangel, say that again, Nightcrawler? Nightcrawler, blow up the car. I say again, destroy the car. It's our only shot. Gunship Archangel, negative Nightcrawler. PTC ROE dictates no witnesses if at all avoidable. We've got to let red light go this time. A car that's been blown up by a few high-power railgun rounds would make international headlines. Nightcrawler, fuck the rules of the agreement. Kill the bastard. Gunship Archangel, that is a negative Nightcrawler. Command, come in. This is Gunship Archangel. Operation Firestarter is being aborted. Retrieving ground teams now. Ground teams were retrieved at 2:34 hours and had left the designated operations area by 2:43. PTC Slenderman Division will resume attempts to apprehend or kill indoctrinated red light at a later point. Operation Firestarter has, as of this moment, been declared a partial success. The laptop that was in indoctrinated red light's possession may prove useful. An anonymous commenter questions why exactly so many troops were needed for one guy, but the subsequent post on February 16th answers that pretty easily.
Well, the score is now what? B25 PTC 0? Something along those lines. Our little siege at the warehouse in Indianapolis didn't go well. Let me repeat that. B2 single-handedly managed to fight his way past 3 dozen soldiers of roughly equal skill level and similar hardware while totally surrounded. He didn't even stop to kill any of them. Everyone survived, but they're in various states of injury, and all of them are wondering how in the hell they lost when they outnumbered him 36-1. B2 clearly doesn't want to be brought in, alive or dead, more so than we want to bring him in. We're backing off for now. B2, I know you're reading this, so I'll tell you this. You have one last chance to come clean and tell us what the hell you're up to. Trust me, if it's Slenderman related, we're all on the same side. It's not like we can do anything to you until most of our military department gets out of the hospital here anyways. On the subject of whatever else we're dealing with here at the PTC, we'll keep you people notified if there's anything we think you need to know. Spectre.
More information is added by a debriefing post on February 17th, and yet another Slenderblog enters the chat.
Finished getting a post-mission interview and debriefing in with every soldier involved in the siege at the warehouse in Indianapolis. After viewing helmet cam footage from every single soldier's helmet, it's become clear how B2 was able to fight his way out. He wasn't fighting alone, or rather, he was. According to the mission clocks on the helmet cam footage, several instances of B2 engaging the squads involved in the siege occurred at different locations in or near the warehouse, occasionally at the same time, and other times at points where he wouldn't have been able to make it to that location from the site of an earlier scrimmage quickly enough to be spotted there. In other words, a second case of B2s, or some serious time discrepancies with the mission clocks. Considering the last time this kind of thing happened, I wouldn't be surprised if it was multiple B2s. The alternate reality theory, smart theory by the way to those of you who pointed out the possibility, has been proven to be more than just a story with other PTC activities, classified of course, but this isn't adding up. It takes some serious shit going down to make this kind of thing happen at all. I'd ask one of the scientists we have here to explain in detail, but they're busy and not being paid to give lectures to the internet about how a mercenary sniper can star in Quantum Leap and beat up 3 dozen other guys in a tag team match with himself. Speaking of our scientists, still no luck with the blinders. We're calling labor and funding off the blinder project and reallocating it to something marginally more useful, namely Tom the Conduit and our teleportation experiments, proceeding just as planned and on schedule, despite Tom's frequent cases of the munchies. We're starting to narrow down how the Slenderman might move when he's not being observed. Or rather, we think we are. Not 100% certain, so if we ever get confirmation, you guys will be the first to know. Spectre. P.S. Donnie, I know you read this blog. Please stop tattling to Central Command in a bid for my job. They've stopped caring weeks ago, and you're just looking like an ass.
By February 19th, some experiments are conducted and the results are detailed by Spectre.
Okay, so I promised you some test results regarding teleportation. Results are pretty hard to explain to anyone lacking quantum physics-oriented education, but basically, Tom's teleportation power isn't exactly teleportation at all. Teleportation is done by way of, quote, an extremely powerful localized quantum burst that creates an extremely small, temporary wormhole focused on the location of the teleporting individual or object. Tom's teleportation power is used by, quote, folding space using quantum energy in a very specific form, shape, and pattern that results results in the user being able to move through that space and come out at a different location nigh instantaneously. The thing is that the second method, Tom's power, is done by way of actually entering another universe by folding space, and then coming back in our universe again by folding space. Tom is literally leaving our reality to teleport. It might not even be for very long, and he might not realize he's doing it, but he isn't staying in this world when he does his thing. So we need to approach this from a totally different angle. Teleportation is very specific, and Tom ain't doing it. We'll get back to you on this. Tests are reopened. We're going to figure out where Tom goes. It might be important for other divisions, if nothing else. Spectre, PSX. The PTC breaks every rule of every game you play, ever, constantly. We don't play by the rules, PTC policy won't let us. So, gunships deployed about 20 minutes ago. They'll probably have arrived by the time you read this. If not, you still probably won't get away in time. If you're still alive tomorrow, feel free to keep trolling this blog. You'll have earned that right after surviving a barrage of railgun rounds and 40mm frag shells, but ground teams have been ordered to get Robert out alive. If they can't, his death is perfectly acceptable.
After more shenanigans get cleared up, Nightcrawler makes a return to observe and terminate to clue us in on what exactly his division is up to.
After much discussion, the individuals in charge at Central Command have permitted the PTC's Slenderman division to begin enacting a policy of protection of priority individuals, PIs, from indoctrinated, revenants, and the Slenderman. The survival of these priority individuals is now a PTC Slenderman division primary objective. Priority individuals are any individuals who fit one of the categories listed below in numerical order. 1. Those who have been noted for former association with the Slenderman. 2. Those whom have been noted for close association with those whom are formerly associated with the Slenderman. 3. Those whom have been identified as possessing critical battlefield or operational intelligence regarding the Slenderman or the position of the Slenderman's deployed forces. 4. Those whom have been noted for recent engagements with forces in the employ of FBI agent Fisk. 5. Those whom have been identified as conduits. 6. Those whom have been noted for close association with the conduits. A list of priority individuals will be compiled and posted before Friday, 6 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Nightcrawler.
Bowser 2 posts the next day and makes reference to black-eyed kids, which is kinda cool because, ooh, cryptids! Shameless plug, check out my Cryptids Iceberg series, shameless plug. The situation escalates when Spectre notifies us of the PTC reopening a once-closed division called the Father Paranoia Division, noting that he believes they are connected to Slendy in some way. He further elaborates on his theory in a post on November 25th.
The PTC has done everything in their power to suppress knowledge of this new video. It seemed remarkably similar to the old Wyoming incident videos, but there was definitely something off about it. I don't doubt a few intrepid TV watchers decided to record the video for later use, but nobody seems to have posted it up on YouTube or something yet. That can be considered a plus. The PTC was sure to get it recorded when it was broadcast though. The Father Paranoia Division's going over it with a fine-tooth comb now. The thing is, this may be a hoax intended to replicate the beginning of the Wyoming incident, which many assume to be a failed ARG. If this is some sick bastard's idea of a joke, I'm not laughing. It's out of my jurisdiction unless I can convince Central Command that the Slenderman and Father Paranoia might have some sort of connection. If I can, I'll have my own people inspect it. If we don't turn anything up, I might convince them to let me hand it off to someone that is more personally familiar with Slenderman icons and related imagery. This new video may contain something of relevance. If it doesn't, then it'll put my mind at ease and we can all get back to work. Spectre.
Apparently, they find no Slendy iconography in this tape, but the version posted by another Slenderverse channel seems to show otherwise. Shit. Dr. Zelphus, thank you for your assistance, but one detail. That part at 2:55 in the video wasn't in the tape when we sent it to you, so I'm fairly certain you got the wrong tape, in which case the PTC's been compromised. Either that or something else is going on. We'll look into it further, but I think I should explain my reasons for thinking the Slenderman and Father Paranoia are at all connected. What Father Paranoia seems to do is possibly feed off of feelings of intense, constant, unnatural fear. We've never been able to really figure that out since the PTC got involved towards the end of the whole Wyoming incident situation. But what does the Slenderman induce in victims? Paranoia. And with this sudden change in the video and all the attention focused on Lusk, Wyoming as far as the PTC's been concerned recently, I can't help but think my assumption of a connection between the Slenderman and Father Paranoia might have some truth to it. Thanks again, Dr. Selphus. Regarding Nightcrawler, he hasn't shown any odd or unpredictable behavior, contrary to B2's claims in the last B2 blog post. As a matter of fact, he recently asked for permission to go and visit Mr. Spender. He should be arriving at the location Spender was headed for in his last blog post very soon. I hope he doesn't do anything stupid. Spectre. February closes out on Observe and Terminate with an ominous message from Bowser 2 stating the video doesn't lie. And we find that Spectre's blog is taken over by a friend that is literally pulling a jigsaw on February 28th. I am assuming direct control of this blog. I will ask you all 3 questions. The first of you to get the most correct will be told the answer to 3 of your own. The rules are simple. No asking anyone else for answers and no repeating answers that have been given already. The first question will be given soon. A friend.
I want to play a game.
And for now, this is where we're going to stop. I'm well aware that I could probably go further into the weeds on this one by covering comments more or going over the other Slenderblog posts that Observe and Terminate links to, but my brain can only handle so much insanity in one go. Next video, we'll finish up the Observe and Terminate Inspector blog posts, which I'm quite sure will only get more Shyamalanian as we continue down the rabbit hole. Thanks for joining me, and I'll see you in part 2. Sweet nightmares. I just wanted to take the time to thank my Patreons and channel members. Your support is so appreciated. If you are not a channel member or Patreon and you would like to become one, there's a link in the description below. All channel members and Patreons receive 24 hours early access to all content posted on both of my channels. And all Patreons or channel members of the $10 Hellhound tier can request one horror-related video or stream topic, or one horror-related game that I play on my live streams on Tuesdays and Thursdays. Again, thank you so much for supporting the channel and the content that I make.